Welcome back. Jonathan Kay is a newspaper editor and one of Canada's premier defenders of free speech and critics of Section 13 censorship, but he's also the author of a brand new book called Among the Truthers, a journey through America's growing conspiracist underground. And he joins me in studio now in Toronto. Hey, Jonathan, welcome on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, it's a book I've just got in my hands for the first time. I'm going to read your extended subtitle, Birthers, Armageddonites, Vaccine Hysterics, Hollywood Know-Nothings, and Internet Addicts. It's like you're reading my Lava Life biography or something.
Yeah, no, it covers a lot of ground.
Yeah, I would put myself in about 3 or 4 of those categories. I'm joking around. Listen, I mean, obviously 9/11 truthers, I mean, it's the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. What is it about people that makes them latch on so passionately to conspiracy theories?
Well, for a lot of people, it becomes a sort of secular religion. And one of the arguments I make is that it basically resolves the difference between the world they want and the world that exists. So, for instance, 9/11, if you're a left-wing conspiracy theorist, you want to blame everything on the United States, you think it has a monopoly on evil. Along comes 9/11, it was perpetrated against the United States, but you invent a fantasy that says this was perpetrated by Bush and Cheney, so they'd have a pretext to go attack Afghanistan and Iraq, and basically you've reconciled your militantly anti-American ideology with the reality that the World Trade Center was attacked.
Now, what about the fact that knowing a conspiracy that no one else buys into, is there a psychological aspect to it too, that I know a secret you don't? I have a secret knowledge you don't have. You're one of the many sheep and I am a wise raven or something.
Yeah, the word they use sometimes is sheeple. The idea that, and actually there's a metaphor they often use. They go back to the Matrix movie and they talk about the blue pill and the red pill. Remember, one pill you take and you awaken to the horrible reality, and the other pill you take and you go back to sleep and everything's fine. I forget which color is which, but it's actually a number of them use this metaphor, and the idea is that they have the courage to accept the truth. The rest of us don't, and you're right, they adopt for themselves prophet personas, and it's a secular version of the religiosity that a lot of people have rejected in the secular society.
I guess there's a, you know, Marx said religion is the opiate of the peoples. I suppose this new Marxism said, oh, reality, it's not a real reality, you're fooling yourself, we're the ones who know. Well, let me ask you, I mean, like many people, I was watching in horror at Charlie Sheen's Meltdown, and I discovered that he's a bit of a truther himself. I mean, he posed some questions to President Obama, and that's the thing. Here's a question. If people hated George Bush, and that was one of the reasons they adopted this 9/11 truther conspiracy theory, how do they maintain it when a left-wing Democrat like Barack Obama is president? Charlie Sheen wrote a video letter to Obama saying, will you not acknowledge these questions about 9/11? Has the presidency of Obama shaken some truthers out of their conspiracy theories?
A few of them, but the hardcore conspiracy theorists imagine that it doesn't matter who is the president, because whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, they all answer to the same shadowy cabal, the oligarchy, which controls all elected officials. In fact, I put this question to Alex Jones, who's a prominent conspiracy theorist in the United States.
His website's Prison Planet, which I just love the name of that.
Yeah, I know he's into all kinds of conspiracy theories. But I interviewed him, and I said, you know, don't you find it weird that Obama took office? You'd think the first thing he would do is say, oh, by the way, I found this memo that said that Bush blew up the World Trade Center. I thought everybody should know. He says, no, they answer to the same overlords, whether it's the Bilderbergers or the New World Order. They imagine that there's some higher authority.
Well, listen, I want to ask you about one more thing, and then I got a conspiracy theory I want to run by you, too, because you say Hollywood know-nothings. You've got my full attention. What do you mean by that?
Well, I talk a lot about crackpot medical theories. Jenny McCarthy, with her completely discredited idea that vaccinations cause autism. And then you have Suzanne Summers, who became a best-selling author with theories like, you know, we should all reject chemotherapy and just ingest herbs to cure cancer. And because these folks are celebrities, they get lots of traction for their theories, and unfortunately, people listen to them.
Well, listen, I want to ask you a question, because, I mean, we all like to think, oh, we're smarter than that, we're more savvy than that, we would never get caught up in a conspiracy theory. But are there not actual conspiracies from time to time? I want to throw something at you. I'm not going to call it a conspiracy theory. I'm just going to call it a hell of a lot of coincidences. There's a company in Canada called Power Corp, which is just a gorgeous name for something at the center of conspiracy theory. This one company has employed Brian Mulroney, Jean Chrétien, Paul Martin, Bob Ray's brother John, Maurice Strong of Ontario Hydro and the Kyoto Protocol. I mean, this one company has employed half of the prime ministers in Canada over the last 20 years, and I would say 99% of Canadians have never heard of it. And they're all from this one company. And it's called Power Corp, for crying out loud. That's what the left thinks Halliburton might have been. Is there something cooking there? Am I a conspiracy theorist for asking questions about it? That, we've got half a dozen leaders from the same company?
If we were on the Glenn Beck show, you'd put up a flowchart about it now.
I got to apply for it. Don't make me pull it out.
Yeah, look, there is this equivalent in the United States, too. It's a Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission.
But one company that has half a dozen prime ministers and premiers?
And also, don't forget the Carlyle Group in the United States also has had a lot of powerful figures flow through it. There is always a germ of truth to conspiracy theories in the sense that it is true that even in the most democratic societies, power tends to be concentrated in small elite groups. They all go to the same golf clubs. Often the boards of directors of major corporations are staffed by the same people. They all have each other on their Rolodexes. And this is an example where it is true that power concentrates itself in even in the most democratic countries. I don't think Power Corp is up to any Hollywood-type conspiracy of the kind I document in the book, simply because, as I write, real conspiracies are incredibly hard to pull off. And the example here in Canada is the sponsorship scandal.
Right.
That was, in a way, that was a conspiracy.
Right.
It was small, it was grubby, it was about money. It was minuscule compared to these grander conspiracy theories I write about, and it fell apart because people tend to be bad at keeping secrets.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you just one question. I watched Charlie Sheen's Nut Bar letter to Obama, and he raised a question that I couldn't slam dunk because I don't know the facts. I bet you do. How was it that so many people in a jet plane flying so high were able to make cell phone calls from the plane down to the ground? I don't have an answer for that. Do you have one?
Actually, it's interesting. I would urge people to read the 9/11 Commission report, because in some of the reporting, they actually confused cell phone calls from seatback calls. And if you read the 9/11 Commission report, this is actually, it's documented. Although, interestingly, there is a Canadian conspiracy theorist, used to be a computer science professor at University of Western Ontario, who actually took a bag full of cell phones up into a plane and videotaped himself using one after the other, and he couldn't get a signal on any of them. This guy has become a hero to the 9/11 truth movement for this reason.
Wow, Canadian content. Thanks for
that. Now we get our grant.
We are all about grants on this show. Jonathan Kay is the author of the new book, Among the Truthers. And wow, what a great story. Thanks for coming into our studio today. Good luck out there.